All right, what's going on, guys? So, I found a note that I wrote to myself, and it doesn't have a date, but I know it was written at least 3 to 4 years ago. So, it's just so cool to see how life just happens in phases. And honestly, sometimes you can go back and study periods of your life to see how did you think? Was that thinking effective? Because whatever thinking you had back in the day is what got you to the present moment. Because your thoughts lead you to whatever reality you think of. And so I found this note. Matter of fact, I found 3 notes, but I'm going to make separate videos for each of them because they're a little different. But this one right here, it speaks about I wrote about mastering your emotions. I guess at the period of time that this particular note was written in, I was thinking about mastering my emotions. And so I wrote, mastering your emotions comes as a second voice in your head. Every time you feel like acting impulsively with only your emotions, that voice in your head will stop you. Slow it down Slow it down some and put some thought into your actions. This comes through discipline and holding yourself accountable, even when no one is watching. At this point, it doesn't matter if anyone is watching because I can't let myself down. So, let's break this down. Mastering your emotions comes as a second voice in your head, right? So, when you want to master your emotions, let me try and focus this camera. So when you are trying to master your emotions, you always act impulsively. You always lash out at people in anger because you let your emotions get the best of you. You quit jobs emotionally like I did. I got upset. I didn't think. I just quit. This was back when I would say like 20, around there. So I just quit the job because I let my emotions get the best of me. But when you master your emotions, you can think logically and rationally through any situation, whether you are put under pressure, whether you have anger, whether you are feeling sad, whether your girlfriend just broke up with you, whether you just lost your car, whatever it may be. When you master your emotions, you can calm yourself down and you can talk yourself through the most logical scenario instead of just quickly, impulsively acting. And I believe that mastering your emotions is the only way to staying disciplined. Because how can you stay disciplined and do the things when you don't feel like doing them when you haven't mastered your emotions? Because what is it that's going to stop you from being disciplined? Your emotions. You're going to wake up, I don't feel like doing it today. What is that? That's an emotion, right? So, mastering your emotions comes as a second voice in your head. So, basically, what I was trying to say is when you are learning to master your emotions, you are going to have basically, it's like when you have a kid, right? You're the parent and here's the kid. The kid is going to be acting crazy, doing all types of things, and you as the parent are responsible for keeping that child disciplined, keeping that child safe, keeping that child within your reach, doing the right things, right? So you have to consider yourself the same way. You are in custody of yourself. You have to watch over yourself, make sure that you are doing the right things because you have, and we all have this childish side inside of us that just wants to do crazy shit, dumb things. But you need to be responsible for yourself. You need to be the parent to yourself. All right, so watch over yourself. And that's what I mean by mastering your emotions comes as a second voice in your head. Because let's say you are angry and you want to lash out, but you're trying to master your emotions. So you have to consciously make the effort to have that second voice in your head telling you, hey man, I don't think it's the best idea to act out on this emotion right now. What is this emotion going to get you? You're going to feel good for the moment because you let out that anger. But once the emotions dispel and you truly get to see the outcome, it will never be as good as if you would have made a logical decision. Because when you are emotional, you're fired up and you're not thinking logically. So basically, you don't want to make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. All right? You never want to do that. And this is the type of situation where you're angry and you just caught your girl cheating on you and you shoot. I'm not saying you're going to do this, but some people do this. They go out there, they shoot the person that she's cheating on him with. And at the end of the day, where do they end up? In prison, in a cell, wasting their entire life. Why is that? Because they made a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. So when you're trying to master your emotions, you have to have that second voice in your head telling you, hey man, stop. I don't think this is a good idea, okay? This is you having a conversation with yourself. You have to learn to be in tune with yourself. You have to study. You have to learn yourself. Because at the end of the day, who are you with the most? Yourself. You're not with your friends the most. You're not with when you go to sleep, when you wake up, when you're in the shower, when you brush your teeth. You are with yourself. You're not with anybody else. So you need to learn the person who you spend the most time with, and that is yourself. So once you learn yourself, you understand that you might act impulsively. And you know, when you who are watching this video, you know what things you act on impulsively. When you feel like doing it. Oh, I feel like doing this. Let me do it. Maybe you argue a lot. Maybe you argue a lot with your boss. Maybe you argue a lot with your coworkers. Maybe you argue a lot with your girl. Maybe you get into fights. Maybe you road rage. Right? Maybe you go out on a shopping spree when you feel like doing it. These are all emotions, and we need to learn to master these emotions, okay? So it starts with you having a voice in your head telling you to stop, making a conscious decision to stop, okay? And over time, this voice will become solidified in your head, and you will actually start to listen to this voice. Because the first couple days, yeah, you might be like, man, shut the hell up. Because you're not used to this voice. But eventually, this voice will be your voice of reason. Because how do you go from being a completely emotional wreck to being someone who is in complete control of their emotions? You have to have that voice in your head that is the voice of reason. All right? And it needs to be solidified. So eventually, over time, after you've done it and practiced it enough, it will come a time where you don't even have to think twice about it. If you are upset, if you are angry, if you want to argue, this voice tells you, hey, what are we going to gain from this? And you listen to it. You understand this voice has authority. It's like a father figure. Eventually, your father figure, you begin to respect him. You begin to admire him. And you understand that his advice is for the greater good. His advice is to lead you down a better path. So this is how you need to be with yourself. Because your parents are not going to be there your whole life to hold your hand, to tell you what to do, to tell you how to do it. So you need to learn to be in control of yourself. Because a lot of men are out here, I should say males, who are just big boys in male bodies. but they're not men because they're not fully in control of their emotions. And I believe you are not really a man unless you are in control of your emotions. If you do not know how to control your emotions, I truly don't believe you have earned the right to call yourself a man yet. You are a male, yes, biologically, but at the end of the day, a man is in control of his emotions. That's just my take on it. And let's keep going. Every time you feel like acting impulsively with only your emotions, that voice in your head will stop you. Yep. Slow it down some and put some thought into your actions. I already said that. This comes through discipline and holding yourself accountable even when no one else is watching. So, like I was saying, this is the part where you have to step in and you have to consciously tell yourself, okay, I am not going to make this choice. I have done it for the past several years. I've acted impulsively all this time, but I'm not doing it anymore. And even when I don't feel like doing it, because what's most comfortable is what you're used to, acting impulsively. So even when you really want to act impulsively, you have to tell yourself, listen, we're not going to follow through with that action. We're going to make this choice because this choice is going to lead us to mastering our emotions. And over time, the more you hold yourself accountable and the more you stay disciplined, even when nobody else is watching, because let's say, okay, the example of nobody else watching. The emotion that you might want to master is what? Something when no one else is watching? Maybe you watch porn and you want to stop that. That's an emotion. That's an emotion that you get. You feel it, you do it impulsively without even thinking. So even when nobody else is watching, you hold yourself accountable. You tell yourself, hey, listen, we're going to find something better to do. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to stay on task. And so the longer you do that, the more you master your emotions. Because I believe even when no one else is watching and you're all alone making decisions for yourself, when no one's around and no one could be there to be like, oh, look, he's making the wrong choice. And it's just you with yourself. Are you making the right choice? Or are you slacking off? Because if you're making the right choice, then you're building up that mastery of emotions. Because no one is watching. You don't have to make the right choice, but you did it anyways. So guess what? You're going to master your emotions. If that's you, you're going to master your emotions. If you stay consistent at it, you stay disciplined, you hold yourself accountable, there's going to be a time where you truly have full control over your emotions. Think about it, and you might not have any control over your emotions right now. But if you simply follow those steps, I'm telling you, you will gain control of your emotions. And so the last sentence is, at this point, it doesn't matter if anyone else is watching because I can't let myself down. So, like I was just saying, there has to come a point where it's not even proving anything to anyone else anymore. This is something about proving something to yourself. There has to come a point in time where you want to prove something to yourself. You no longer want the validation of others. You no longer want the approval of others. You no longer want to show others that, hey, look, I can master my emotions. Hey, look, I'm capable. Hey, look, I'm a man. At the end of the day, it's proving something to yourself. It's asking yourself, am I the type of man I say I am? All right. So let me see if my actions are congruent with my words. And when no one else is watching, it's time to prove something to yourself. All right, guys. I hope you found this video insightful. If you did, leave a comment down below, drop a like, and subscribe. Peace out.